Welcome to the Boulder City Podcast. My guest today is Denise Ashurst, a candidate for City Council. Denise, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we see all your signs around the city, and there seems to be a lot of excitement about the council race. Why should people vote for you as opposed to Matt Fox?
Well, I guess I got to go back to COVID. Mm-hmm. During COVID, within that first 6 months or so, I felt like I lost my rights, the right to assemble, the right to, talk to the press, the right to petition the government. And it just went just like that. And my son was living with me for a little bit, and he goes, "Mom, stop yelling at the TV and do something." So I said, "I am." And I decided to run for a state assembly at first. And in doing that, I talked to a lot of people in Boulder City. And I realized that it wasn't so much about me or my platform, but it was giving people a voice. The voice that I felt like I didn't have. Now, and I want to give that same voice to people through me.
Sure.
So I'm running on behalf of the citizens of Boulder City.
Okay, that sounds good. So let's talk about some of the issues. And this issue that I'm going to mention here has gone through the last several election cycles, which is the slow growth ordinance. Some people want it to be a no growth ordinance. Some people want it to be, they want to amend it to so we can grow a little more quickly. Where do you stand on that?
So I think everyone in Boulder City moved here because it's a small town, small charm. You can walk everywhere. Everything's available to us. The big box stores, obviously, across the hill, but you have Amazon or whatever. Slow growth obviously does not mean no growth. And I'm a big techie person. And I think we should grow in tech. We should grow in tourism. There's a lot of things we could grow in without people having to move here in Boulder City. Having sat with people for over 2.5 years, I realized they believe in the same thing. They want tourism. They just don't want a lot of housing. We don't want to become New York City or Henderson or Las Vegas. We want to keep our small town charm, and we want to be able to know who our neighbors are. And I think in the climate today, the way things are with open borders, you need to know who your neighbors are. And having a small town, that safety of knowing who's around you is important as well.
Right, yeah. So you know if somebody is in town and shouldn't be here.
Absolutely. And it's okay, I mean, legal immigration is how we all are here, right? We want people to move in that may not look like you or me or sound like you or me and welcome them, but we want them legally, and we want them to become neighbors. We want them to become productive citizens like we all are.
No question. So you mentioned Henderson. They have a large parcel that they annexed in the El Dorado Valley. Boulder City still has a lot of land down there, but they kind of some people say we could have stopped it, but we didn't because back in the old days. But now, how can we make sure that it doesn't happen again?
Well, being military, as you know, I am 20 years in the Air Force, vigilant. You have to be vigilant. You have to be forward thinking. You have to know what you want.
Right.
I don't know how that land was parceled out. I know BLM owns, Bureau of Land Management owns a lot of it. I'm sure there's some backdoor activity that goes on. But I don't think that'll happen now. I think right now we do have a good council who's on top of these things. I spoke with Steve Walton just yesterday and was talking to him about this. And it's being vigilant. It's, cordoning off that area that we know belongs to us and not bending or giving it away.
Right.
And we also have an ordinance that has to go to the people before anything is given away anyway.
Right.
So I think having that transparency as a city council person and making sure that we're transparent to the public of what we want to do and get their buy-in on it. But right now, I think we're pretty secure.
And would you be in favor of working with Henderson to make sure that didn't happen again, that they would give us heads up?
Well, absolutely. We're sister cities in a sense, and the councils should be talking to each other, and I know that they do. I'm sure they will be asking. It's a growing, thriving municipality over there, but we're not.
Right.
And we want to keep what we have. Once you give it up, it's gone.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think that that conversation should always be there. I think on our side, it should probably be no.
Okay, great.
No, thank you.
So we also have this Track 350, which we've been talking about for a few years as well, which is the land around the golf course, which is zoned for housing, and we actually voted to allow that to happen several years ago. But it's the density that's the issue now. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I was talking to Steve yesterday. A lot of it has already been planned out. I think they're going to start breaking ground maybe in January or
Okay.
February. So it's what it is.
Yeah.
They have their boundaries of what they could put there, what they cannot put there. The people of Boulder City have spoken on density. They've spoken on how much the income should be of the person that lives there. It's not going to be low income housing. It's probably
Sure.
going to be middle. But I think everything that has to be said on that property has been, and I think it's in writing.
Okay. Okay. Great. Great. So let's talk about some of the new businesses that have come to town. There's been quite a few over the past few months, and some of them are thriving. Can the city do more to attract more new businesses and to keep those that are here thriving as they should be?
Absolutely. I belong to the Boulder Business Development Group, and it's comprised of 34 businesses. We meet every Tuesday morning at Railroad Pass, and these are the things we talk about. I think when we want new businesses.
Sure,
From your first
of course.
question, we're a tourism type town, and I think that as far as the city's concerned, if we get rid of maybe some draconian ordinances and laws, when a business comes in, how can we help you? How can we help
Right.
you thrive? I mean, if they're coming here, we want them to be here. We want to make that transition as smooth as possible. No matter where you're from,
Right.
there's always that red flag that's thrown up at the last minute to a business owner. And I think that's expected from businesses. But to put up roadblocks that are just not right.
Right.
That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
And again, I know that this current council is working on trying to get some of the draconian laws changed or upgraded and trying to help businesses as much as possible to make it a nice transition coming into Boulder City to stay here. They're part of the family once they're here.
Sure.
And so we
No
want
question,
that.
yeah.
We want that transition from wherever they're coming from or a brand new business to have a smooth transition.
Sure. Sure. So. We also have a measure on the ballot this election for the pool, and another thing we've been talking about for many years, and it's time we got serious with
Yes.
it. So where do you stand on that ballot measure, and do you think it will go forward? And if it does, would you encourage it to move even more quickly to get it done?
We were talking before we sat down. We're all from New York, and most of us grew up in a pool.
Right.
I mean, pool is like the central place of a town, and for Boulder City, we have to have a pool,
Right.
and we have to have a safe pool. I think everybody agrees with that. Obviously, it comes down to money. When you keep kicking the can down the road, it's going to be more expensive. I
Right.
mean, you could just go to the grocery store.
Sure.
Imagine
Right.
trying to build something.
Exactly.
So, we have the measure on the ballot. The people have to speak. I'm 100% for that. We have the 7 million that's in place, and the other 9 million that may come from Track 350 that's planned too.
Right.
Hopefully, all goes well, but get the pool done and start with maybe just the pool and
Right.
add on as you go.
Sure.
And maybe do something through donations from citizens that may want to have a wing in their name or something
Right.
on the pool. But get the pool done, because the longer we wait, the more it's going to be more expensive, and we may end up talking ourselves out of a pool.
Sure. Well, I believe we have one anonymous donor who gave $1 million that
heard that.
doesn't even want his name on the wing, which
Right.
which
Which
is
is
certainly
nice.
generous. Yeah, very
Exactly.
nice, yeah.
And for the youth, there's a lot of adult things that go on in town. I
Right.
mean, if you go down the strip, it's mostly adult.
Right.
For the youth, the pool is big. We have a lot of talent here in Boulder City. They put the Eagle up coming in, and you can
Right.
see how many championships they won. I just think that's a good place to be able to support our youth.
Yeah.
So I think that's something we do have to get done.
Okay, great. So, council last year rejected short-term rentals in town, pretty much broadly. Do you think that was the right decision, or do you think it could be amended so there could be some wiggle room there?
Well, again, the people have spoken. I think the way that it was set up, we had the town hall, people
Right.
spoke, we had the vote, people
Yep.
spoke, the majority won. That's the way it is. Unless the state changes or the rules and regulations on short-term rentals change, then we'll revisit it. I think what came out of that was the neighbors, again, want to know who their neighbors are. And when people come in for short-term rentals, are they truly putting into the city? Are they giving back into the city? And for the most part, I mean, I love doing short-term
Sure,
rentals, but I leave a place better than I got there.
Sure.
But many people may not be like that.
Yeah.
They're coming in, maybe boating or going into Vegas, drinking. So it's, one way or the other. But again, the people have spoken and they said no. And we may have dodged a bullet. A lot of illegal immigrants are now
Right.
going into short-term rentals and taking over.
And squatting, yeah.
So squatting. So we may have made the right decision. Either way, the people have spoken. Unless something changes in the ordinance or in the laws,
Right.
it's what it is.
Okay. So the state of Nevada has issued orders that all non-functional turf be removed from public areas, and the BLM recently completed their beautiful reorganization in front of their place, and it frankly looks terrible.
The BOR, the Bureau of Reclamation.
Right, Bureau of Reclamation, right, and it looks it didn't come out nearly what it looked like in the drawings.
Exactly.
Is there any way we can control that? I mean, there's still other properties in town operated by federal agencies. The BLM is one of them for sure. Yeah. And can we like make sure that doesn't happen again? I mean, I understand it's it's water under the bridge now.
Well, it goes back to COVID. Me screaming at my TV.
Yeah.
Yes, we can. They work for us. Mm-hmm. We're the taxpayers. The job that they did up there is what we paid for, and it's not what we wanted. They came and they showed us a design that we did not get. We got a rock quarry. Right. A gentleman came into my campaign office, I guess about 4 months ago. He literally was in tears. He bought a property that's right across from the Bureau of Reclamation. He bought it for the beautiful clean green Boulder City expanse that was there with the Bicentennial and Wilbur and then the Bureau of Reclamation. And, when they moved the fence, he was like, no way are you finished.
Yeah. Right.
The gentleman is literally looking at rocks.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I've talked to a few residents that said, what's the big deal? You don't live there. Yeah, you don't have to look at that every day.
Sure, right.
I had a neighbor that had a flag up and it had expletives about Biden. Mm-hmm. And I didn't vote for Biden, but still, I didn't want to see that out my window every day. Sure. And kids were walking by. Yeah. I wrote him a note. He didn't take it down. I talked to my other neighbors. We all got together, and he finally took it down. Mm-hmm. So I think that if we work with the federal government, because it is a federal building, we have a petition going. There's over 600 signatures right now. Mm-hmm. We've talked to Dina Titus and Jackie Rosen, the incumbents, to see if they could help us with this. I've reached out to Danielle Gallant, who is our state assembly person, and Jeff Stone, who's our senator. Mm-hmm. And they agree. So we're waiting for the Bureau of Reclamation to come. They have been promising us that they would come and they would discuss this, but since June they have not shown up. But we are keeping it open. I am on the Historic Preservation Commission. Sure. That is a historic building, and it's somewhat our living room.
Well, you can't even see the building now.
You can't even see the building.
Big rocks in front of it.
And anybody listening at the sound of my voice that don't know what we're talking about, just ride over to the post office, look to your north, and see if you can see that beautiful building. I remember when I first moved here. I moved here because of Bicentennial, that area. Sure, I had a picnic there, and I remember a bride with her train on the stairs. That ain't gonna happen.
No, not anymore. No.
So someone said the tour buses are even not even going by there anymore. So that's unfortunate, and I hope that enough people get behind it. But this is something that I've been championing already. It's been, like I said, almost a half a year, and I'm going to continue to do that whether I'm on the council or not. Okay. It's not right, and we the people will speak on this issue.
Right. And my question there was, that had to cost $1 million at least. I mean, what's the return on investment there, even if you save water? I mean, it didn't make any sense to me.
From what I understand, it was like $5 million. Okay. And I don't know the exact amount from what they got from the water department to take up the grass. Right. So that's got to be maybe another $500,000 if you add that to it. Yeah. So I like to see the tally of where the money was spent, and also the environmental impact plan. Sure, yeah. I like to see that because that grass was put there for a purpose. Boulder City was a lot smaller back then, but it was put there to keep it cool in that area.
Of course, right.
And now I understand the residents in the area, utility bills have went up. The gentleman has even purchased a camera, a thermal camera. And so if you go on the website, fixbor.com, or fixborbc.com, you'll see that the pictures of it. And at 9 o'clock at night, it was 140 degrees.
Yeah.
at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable.
Yeah, no
So
question.
where are we saving money?
Okay. So we're also supposed to remove some turf from the golf course, and now some homeowners have gotten letters advising them they have to tear out their grass or they're going to get fined. I mean, this doesn't make sense. This is private property.
Exactly. And I'm not on the council now, so I don't know the inner workings of it, but I do know people who live on the golf course, and they're not happy with the chat.
Right.
I went over to Green Valley this weekend, and I was meeting with a friend of mine, and she was like, talking about the chat over there, and we literally went over to Paseo Verde, right over by the district,
Right.
and it's running out in the streets. It's really messy. It's not being kept up. So here, I was at a city council meeting a couple of months ago maybe, and they were talking about putting pavers in place of chat. So there are things that they could do. But again, when you buy a house and you're
Right.
buying it for a purpose, and the city or the federal government comes in and says no,
Right.
what recourse do you have? And I think it's to speak up.
Yeah.
You may not win in the end,
Yeah.
but at least speak up and say something. And collectively, I think we can get things done.
I can understand if you have a homeowners association, but
Yes.
but if you just have a house in the city and they come and say you got to tear your lawn out, that doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of talk about a proposed affordable senior housing project to be built in town here. What do you feel? What's your view on that kind of development in Boulder City?
Well, I went to the church. I think it's the Methodist church. They had a presentation at the Rotary that I went to, and it sounded good, looked good. Then they had a city council meeting, and I think it was 4 hours long.
Right.
And the thing about that meeting, I think it was handled. It could have been handled better. I think the people there didn't know that the meeting was for just zoning.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
But we got to talking about people moving in,
Right,
bringing
right.
their grandkids,
Yeah.
doing drugs,
Right.
and it kind of really, really, really got out of hand. But from what I understand, again, I'm not on the council and I don't want to misspeak, but I understand that it did not get approved, the zoning. So that's that.
Yeah.
I understand that there is another parcel of land over on the west side of town by the manufactured homes, by the cottages, I want to say, or
Right.
somewhere in there. And I think that may be a good place because there are other people, like
Yeah.
buildings, like properties around
Sure.
there. And I'm not sure who's going to end up buying the one over by the municipal cemetery. But I understand that they may be working out something. But they did invite me to a meeting this Monday, so I'll know a little bit more. Affordable housing is needed everywhere.
Right.
And Boulder City is a senior city. And I know I'm 68 years old. If I get 80 and I'm still here, I have a family that can take care of me. But a lot of people don't have
Sure,
families,
right.
and so they depend on housing that's affordable so they could stay in this town. Or our youth
Sure.
that are growing up, they can't live here.
Right.
Unless they have wealthy parents to help them get started. But, those are the little drawbacks of a small
But
town.
don't we have aren't the manufactured home communities affordable housing? I mean, we
They
have
are.
a few of them in town. I mean,
They are. I don't know if they're, like everything else, it probably filled. I don't know
A friend of
how.
mine just bought one recently,
Is that right?
and she didn't pay that much, and she's enjoying it. So
Wonderful. Well, I know one thing. It will go to the city council again, and the people will speak on it, and they will have their say
Okay.
one way or the other. So, and that's what I love about here, the democratic way of dealing with
Right.
people. Not just saying you have to, but let's talk about it.
Sure.
Let's have a town hall. Let's vote on it.
Okay, great. So electricity rates have risen for all of Clark County, including Boulder City. Do you believe we can use some of the money that the city earns from the solar fields to be able to reduce the cost of energy for our citizens?
Again, I'm not on the council, so I don't know. There's always two sides to every story. I don't know how that really works, but I know as a citizen of Boulder City, and if there's an overage, we just talked about those who may not have maybe low income, giving some of that money to the low income people to help them offset their utility bills. I lived on Sunrise Mountain when I was in the military. We're nowhere near those prices.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm thankful just to be here in Boulder City to
Right.
have the prices we have. But nevertheless, everybody's hurting right now, and any easement in their pocketbooks would help. So I think it would be something to look at for sure, just to be able to give back to your community and help your community, especially if there's a pot of funds. Everything is earmarked. So if there's a pot of funds, and I think the first who should get it are low income.
Okay. Great.
Not necessarily seniors, because
Sure.
some seniors have money.
Right, yeah,
So
no
it's low
question.
income.
So, do you believe that our public safety departments are properly funded and operating their full capacity?
I sat into, I guess maybe 3 or 4 months ago in city council meeting, and they were talking about the police department being an old building and
Right.
what was there before and how inadequate it is, and the fire department not being able to reach a distance like
Right.
that they're supposed to put out a fire if they're over
Right.
by the
They
lakeside.
want to, they want to build a substation over there.
Right. So safety first.
Right.
I mean, safety first. I don't even think there should be an argument on that. Find the money, safety first. The police, if we want them to do their job, they need the right facility to
Yeah.
do it. And I understand they don't even have a jail here. I think they
Right.
jail over in Henderson.
Right. Yeah.
Like I said, safety first. I think the police need to be taken care of, and the firemen need to be taken care of, because it could be you, it could be me, and I would want them to be able to reach me in time or to be able to answer a call.
Sure. So one of the things I think we're going to have to face sooner or later here is the infrastructure of our power grid and our water system, and that's going to require quite a bit of money. Do you think the city council should really focus on that and plan for that?
I'm pretty sure they already are
Yeah.
planning. I mean, you have to be forward thinking. Boulder City is an older town, obviously, and our infrastructure is degrading, has to be. So, again, I'm not on the city council, so I don't know the ins and outs
Right.
of it, but I would hope that they are that forward thinking to know that eventually, I mean, you look at AT&T putting in fiber optics. So
Right, sure.
you just look at the trend of where things are going, and Boulder City will have to upgrade eventually. And if you do it now slowly, it won't just hit you if something goes out. There was just a big electrical fire. They took care of that pretty quick. So, but that may be the signs of times to come. Who
Right.
knows? We have not had an outage like California.
Right, yeah.
So that's a good thing. That's saying something. But let's not just sit on that.
Sure.
Let's take a look at it. At least pay to have, however that works, pay to have it looked at and investigated, and say, okay, we need this, and this, and plan it out through ballot. I don't know, how much money would go to doing that. But I think, again, safety first, and all of us would benefit by
Okay,
a
great.
good infrastructure.
So you've been very gracious to the members of City Council in this interview. Do you believe you could work well with all the members of City Council? You're the final position to be filled now.
Yes, and I know the whole council, really good people. I think they've done a good job. You're not going to please everybody. It's
Right.
just the way it is.
Sure.
But I think that they have done a good job. They've been transparent, and that's my big thing,
Right.
is listening to the residents and trying to meet their needs as much as possible. I mean, we are not magicians.
Right.
You can't pull a rabbit out of a hat if there's no rabbit. So
Right.
there's no money there,
Yeah.
that type thing. But I think just listening, and people are. A lady who I bumped in the credit union today. She was talking about the Shane Patterson statue that we're putting up, and she felt like that was nice, but there's some other veterans that need a plaque. And she said she just reached out to Sherry Jorgensen, and Sherry reached out to somebody, and they got it done.
Yeah.
That's all you could ask for.
That's the way it should happen. Right?
There is a gentleman who calls into City Council. I haven't met him yet, and he's talking about animals. I like to speak to him to see. I respect the fact that he calls in
Yeah.
like clockwork.
Yeah.
And but I don't know who he is. But it's an issue.
Yeah.
And I'm sure somebody has reached out to him. But I would hope. But it's things like that. If somebody has something they want fixed or they want changed, at least listen. And if it's possible to fix it, viable, then by all means, let's do it.
Okay, great. All right, one more question. What would you like to accomplish if you're elected to City Council?
Get the pool. Get the pool in, get
That
it
would be-
built. My number one thing is Bureau of Reclamation. I would really not have to fight the federal government to do what is right,
Right.
to get that fixed. That is our living room. if anybody's looking at this video down the road and you're from the federal government, please just reach out to us, hear what we have to say. I'm in the military. We come with a problem, but we also have a solution. And I
Right.
think some of the solutions we have is viable to them, changing it to make it look the way it should look.
Right.
So I think the BOR, now as a city council, I can't work on that
Sure.
directly because it's not a city issue, it's federal, but as a citizen
Yeah.
of Boulder City, I could continue to work on it.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for joining us, Denise. It's great to sit down with you. I'd like to hear your common sense discussions here, and good luck in your campaign. And we hope to interview again as a city councilman.
I hope so as well, and thank you as a fellow New Yorker for having me.
Great, and thanks for joining us on the Boulder City Podcast.